Mic check. Is anybody there? Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello.
All right, we're ready to begin. Morning. Good morning. All right, what I'd like you to do is we're going to practice a little bit about with the offset command, some of the finer little techniques and details of the command itself. So you can open up your modify commands drawing for this. All right. This is the exercise that we will be doing after this practice, after we practice the offset command. This is a representation of this bedroom here in this overall floor plan. This overall length of this portion of the house, this bedroom, is 16 foot 6 inches long. That's what this dimension is supposed to be depicting here, but it got cut off in the creation of this PDF. Here's what I'd like everybody to do. I would like you, somewhere in this modify commands drawing, away from any other geometry, like maybe above where all of this other stuff might be, or you could delete some stuff, like get some stuff out of the way. I want you to draw a nice horizontal line that is exactly 16 foot 6 inches long, just to give us some context to what we're practicing. So draw a straight horizontal line using direct distance entry. Just type in 16 with the foot mark and then 6, and go ahead and hit enter to create that line, 16 foot 6. And then once the line is created, you can go ahead and hit enter to exit out of the command. All right, now I'm going to take a look back at our bedroom markup. I'm doing something here. Just a second. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Now I'm going to take a look at our markup here. And I want us to focus on the right-hand side. What I'm drawing here, this 16'6" line here, is supposed to represent this line right here. Okay? In the course of us creating this floor plan, we're going to need to locate various elements, various areas within the plan. One of those would be these window openings. So these 3-foot openings along the east wall here, 3 feet, 3 feet, these are window openings. And what you're seeing here with the dimensions are the different ways in which we can locate where those openings are along this vertical wall. All right? All right. So here's what I'm going to do with you guys. We're going to use the offset command to do this. The offset command allows us to type in, enter in a distance, then select the element and offset it to a side. And then that's a way that we can add that bit of geometry there. You would enter in another distance and offset the resulting line that we created, and so on, until we get all the way to the end of our string of dimensions here. All right, so I am going to show you how to do this the hard way. Then I'm going to show you a much easier method, but it requires a little bit of finesse on how to do it the easy way, knowing, spoiler alert, I'll just tell you right now, knowing when you can pick with your left mouse button or enter with your enter key on the keyboard. Okay? So the first way I'm going to have you do this is the hard way. Here's what I mean. This line here, I want to start, and I'm going to have this off screen here, so I'll be just reciting these dimensions here. 1'6", 3 foot, 12'6", 3 foot, 7'1", 3 foot, and 1'6". So I'm going to have this, whoops, now it's definitely off screen. I'm going to have this off screen, and I'm going to be referring to those dimensions. All right, so everybody knows where they're coming from. All right, so the first dimension I mentioned was 1'6". So here's what I want everybody to do. Here's the offset command. Go ahead and start the offset command for me. All right. Look at your prompt. Your prompt. Hello? What?
Yeah, hi. This is Patrick. I missed the session after lunch. The offset command
Yes.
was
And
set
we
as
didn't
like an array. No, I see it now. Okay. So we click on that.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody else that's here today, we haven't gone over the offset command until this moment. So you're all caught up. right, start the offset command. Notice the prompt. It says specify the offset distance. I want everybody to type in 1'6" and hit enter. Right? Now, select that line, and then I want you to move your mouse above that line. Notice what you're seeing here. The line that you selected is bold and highlighted. The line above it is the preview of the line that's going to be offset, that's going to be created. There's also a text box there with the dimension 1'6". All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick with your left mouse button anywhere above to that side or above. All right, now you can see how you've left behind an offset line there. What you've just witnessed here and what you've just done is the majority of the way in which you're going to locate various distances when you're drawing in AutoCAD. Now, we have to get another dimension, 3 feet, for the window opening. So this is the hard way. Just remember, I'm showing you the hard way so you'll understand how much easier it is to do it when I show you the easy way. Here's what I want you to do. Hit enter to exit out of the command. Hit enter to start the same command back up again. Now the same command is back up again, and I want you to type in the offset distance. This time it's going to be 3 feet. Now my cursor is off screen here, so you're seeing the 3 feet being entered into the command line here. All right, I'm going to hit I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now it says here in my text that I am offsetting 3 feet. I'm sorry that my cursor was off. I hope that didn't confuse everybody. But here, if I go ahead and I select this line, now you can see how when I move my mouse above that line is the one that's being selected to be offset. It's highlighted in and glowing and bold. And there's the distance that I plugged in, 3 feet. And above it is the preview of the line that's going to be created. To add that line, I simply have to click with my left mouse button above that line. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click. All right, now you can see I've got 3 lines there, one representing the initial line, one representing the 1'6" dimension, and one representing the 3 foot dimension. All right, now enter to end the command. Enter to start the same command back up again. All right, the next distance that we're going to add is a 12'6" distance.
Hey, Alan.
Yes.
I'm kind of stuck in a different, I'm in decimal, and I can't get out of it. How do I get out of it into feet and inches?
Let's see what's going on. Okay. Well, that's why I wanted you to open up the modify tools, but just type in the word units. You're still in the command, so you're going to have to hit enter to exit out of the command. Now try to type in the word units. You're still in the command. You're still in the command. Now, every time you hit enter, you're ending the command and starting the command. That's exactly what I want you to do when you're doing it, but I need you to end the command so that you can type in a new command. All right, that's unite. That's not units. All right, where it says link, you're going to change that to architectural. All right, go ahead and hit OK.
Sorry.
All right, now delete all the lines that you've got there. All right, draw a line that is 16 foot 6 inches long. Just type in 16 foot 6. Just start, no. You see how the blue
Yeah.
box is waiting for you to enter in something. All right, now hit enter to exit out of the line command. Now start the offset command. All right, type in the distance 1 foot 6. You don't have to put the inch mark, but that's fine. It'll work still, but you don't have to. Go ahead and hit enter. Now select that line and move your mouse anywhere above it. Well, you already did it. That's good. Now hit enter again to exit out of the command and hit enter to start the command back up again. Put in the distance 3 feet. That's right. You're getting it. You're getting it. So that's good. Now that's the point we're at right now. Go ahead and hit enter one more time, and you're going to be right where I am. All right. Hit enter and enter to start the command again. And then this dimension is going to be 12 foot 6. All right. I'm going to mute you. All right. 12 foot 6. And go ahead and hit enter. Select the last line that you created and pick anywhere above it. Now, look how mine is off the screen here. I can zoom out a little bit. Don't be afraid to zoom around while you're in the middle of the command. All right, and by the way, my cursor has to be above that line. And I said this yesterday. I want to make sure everybody is comfortably away from any geometry. You can pick right, like in between the lines, just as long as your cursor is above the highlighted selected line. So this is going to work, and this is going to work. I just don't want you to be that close where perhaps your snap might inadvertently snap on the line and it might not offset correctly. So that's what I've been saying. Make sure your cursor is at some distance comfortably away from any other geometry before you pick with your left mouse button. All right, with 12 foot 6 there, I'm going to pick. And I've now added that line. Now I'm going to end the command, and I'm going to start the command back up again by hitting enter once and twice. Notice how the previous dimension is the default dimension, the previous dimension from the last operation. All right, well, this one is going to be 3 feet again. So you're going to type in 3 feet into the little text box and hit enter. Then you're going to select that line here and move your mouse anywhere above that. And pick. All right, now I want you to end the command by hitting enter. Start the command back up again by hitting enter. And then you're going to put in the distance of 7 foot 1. So that's the next distance, 7 foot 1. So you're going to type in 7 foot 1, 7 foot 1, hit enter to enter in that distance, And then you're going to select that line and pick anywhere above it. All right. Next, we have another 3-foot dimension. So I want you to end the command by hitting enter, start the command back up, and I want you to type in the distance 3 foot and hit enter. Select that line and pick anywhere above that line. Good. Now you're going to hit enter to end the command, and then you're going to hit one last time enter to start the command up again, and you're going to enter in the last dimension of 1'6". You're going to select that line here and then pick anywhere above it. Now you can hit enter just once. We're just going to end the command and let's see what we've done here. All right. So what we've accomplished here is we took a line like this and we offset it 1'6" to locate where this dimension is, 3 feet to locate where this one is, 12'6" to locate where this one is, then another 3 foot for the opening of the window, then 7'1", then another 3 foot opening, and then finally the top of the bedroom floor plan 1'6" away from the top wall. That's how we were able to find all of these lines here. All right. Now that was tedious. Every time we wanted to enter in a different dimension, we had to end the command, start it back up again so that we could put in a new dimension. All right, now I'm going to demonstrate. I just want everybody to watch me first. And then I'm going to show you a much easier way to do this. But the main trick to this is to know when to hit enter on your keyboard and when to pick with your left mouse button. Pick a point to offset to. All right, so everybody watch me first. I'm going to just copy one of my bottom line here. I'm going to copy it over to the side here. I'm going to use it again. All right. Trying to get the other lines on the screen too so you can see them as a reference. All right. Just watch. I'm going to start the offset command. Now, one of the dimensions was repeated more than any of the other dimensions in this strand. And I'm referring to the 3 foot opening. So that is a dimension that appears more than others. When I start this routine here, I want to, there's going to be a particular dimension that I can use more often than any of the other ones. I'm going to refer to that dimension as the default dimension. And you'll see why I call it that in just a second here. But I'm going to use I'm going to use 3 feet as the default dimension. So when I start the command here, let me start it again. It's asking me to specify an offset distance. I'm going to plug in 3 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, it's asking me what object to offset. It's Nothing that we haven't seen before. But now we're gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna select the same line like I did before, and I'm gonna move my mouse above that line. Now, the 3-foot dimension that I entered in is the dimension that I entered in. I don't have to use that dimension. Notice the text box, the 3-foot dimension is blue. It is waiting for you to enter in any other distance that you want. I'm going to enter in 1 foot 6. So in that little box, I've entered in a different dimension, 1 foot 6. Here's a little mnemonic I want you to remember here. If you enter in the text box, you press enter on your keyboard. So I'm going to press enter on my keyboard. Notice it did not offset 3 feet. It offset the distance that I entered into the text box. Can you see that? That's 1 foot 6 here, and this is what happened here. All right, now here's what makes it easy. I don't have to end the command. I'm in the same command. I don't have to end it and start it and end it and start it just so I can put in a new distance. I'm going to select the line I just created, and I'm going to move my mouse above that line. Now look at this, 3 feet. That's the distance that I need to offset this line for this particular line. In this situation, I'm going to do like I did all of these lines over here. I'm just going to pick a point with my left mouse button. So if I'm going to accept what's in the little blue text, if I want to keep that, I simply click with my left mouse button. All right, now you can see how it offset by that default distance, as I call it. Next, I'm going to select that line again, and I'm going to move my mouse anywhere above it, and I can see the preview and the direction I want to go, but the dimension is 12 foot 6. So, in that little blue text box, I don't even have to move my mouse anywhere. It's waiting for me to enter in a different dimension. So I'm going to type in 12 foot 6, and anytime I enter in the text box something, I press enter on my keyboard. And you can see now I've offset the line at that distance. All right, I'm going to select that line. Now this dimension here is another one of the 3 foot wide windows. 3 foot is my default dimension. So I don't need to do anything. All I need to do is click. So if I'm going to accept the default, I'm going to pick a point up to the side I want to offset the line. So I'm going to just click my mouse button. Next, I'm going to select that line. Notice I'm still in the same command. All right, the next dimension is 7 foot 1. So I'm going to type in that distance, 7 foot 1. Now, whenever I enter in something into the text box, I press enter on my keyboard. Now, what would happen? What would happen if I happen to click? If I happen to click by accident? You see how I've got 7 foot 1 in here? You know that that's not 7 foot 1, that's 3 feet. If I were to click, even though I have 7 foot 1 in there, I'm going to go ahead and click. Watch what happens. It did not offset 7 foot 1. It offset by the default distance. Even though I had something entered in there, I must when I enter in the dimension, I must hit enter in order for that dimension to appear, okay? Now, the last two here, this one is 3 feet. And by the way, folks, make sure your cursor is to the side and well away from any geometry just to be safe. I don't want you to do this. Look where my cursor is. And it's below the line, and now I'm going to create a line below. That's not where I want the line. All right, so that's another aspect of the command. You have to make sure that your cursor is to the side of the object you want to offset to. All right, here we are again. We got another 3-foot opening here, which is my default dimension. This time I will pick or click my left mouse button. And finally, this last line here at 3 feet, let me just pan down just a little bit. I'm going to enter in my last dimension, 1'6", and I'm going to hit enter. And I'm just going to hit enter and end the command. Okay, so the difference here with that, let me get rid of this guy, was I didn't have to end the command and start it back up again just so that I could put in a new dimension. I can use the text box there to enter in different dimensions than what I'm referring to as the default dimension. All right? All right, now that you watched me do that, I want everybody to do it with me. I'm going to copy one of my 16'6" long lines. I'm going to copy it over to the side so I can practice with it. All right? All right, so we're going to do it together here. Start the offset command. All right, notice the behavior of the offset command. It always has as the default dimension the previous last dimension that you entered in. I entered in 1'6" the very last time. So I'm going to change this, and I want everybody to set this dimension to be 3 feet. And here's another case. Look, I am entering in this information here, even though I'm not selecting anything to offset yet. But I'm entering in this information into a text box, and what do I need to do? If I'm entering it in, I need to hit enter on the keyboard. Okay? All right, now that I've got that default dimension, select your newly created or copied line. Move your mouse above that line. Now this dimension is not 3 feet. This dimension is 1'6". So notice how I just started typing and it entered itself into that little text box.
Excuse me. Hey, Alan. Just a quick, I did the copy. I guess I missed. How do you paste it? Or how do you, I copied the object and then I'm trying to just move it. Like I selected the object, but I don't know how to paste it. What's the command?
All right, I'm going to end what I'm doing here.
Figured it the first time.
All right. I guess this was, were you gone yesterday for this?
I must have been, yeah.
Okay. To copy something, you select it, and I would select the one at the bottom. All right, I don't know what you got there. Just select any one of those lines. All right, start the copy command. All right, now what it says is you want to specify a base point. That means you're going to pick a point, and it's that point about which everything is going to be displaced. So just pick a point at the left-hand side of the line somewhere. And when I say pick, I mean click with your left mouse button. All right, that's the right-hand side. That's fine. Just move your mouse over to the right-hand side. Keep moving. You see how there's a copy there?
Yep.
All right, now it's asking you for a second point. So wherever you pick now is where you're going to drop off this copy. So I would move it a little bit further away, but that's fine. Now, I only needed one copy, so you can hit enter to exit the command. All right?
Okay. That's it.
All right. And let me start again on my side here. All right. Start the offset command. Now, the default distance, as I mentioned, in this particular scenario with the elements we're trying to locate with the offset command is going to be 3 feet. And the reason it's 3 feet is it's convenient in a sense that that is one of the dimensions that repeats most often in our little string of dimensions. So I'm going to accept the default of 3 feet by hitting enter on my keyboard. Now I'm going to select the line I want to offset, and I want everybody to move their mouse above that line. You can see a preview of what's going to happen, or you can see the preview of the direction this line is going to be offset. Now the first dimension is not 3 feet. The first dimension in my string of dimensions is 1 foot 6. So I'm going to enter that in. Now you'll notice how the text box has text in it 3 feet, and it's got a blue background. It's waiting for you to enter in something other than 3 feet if you want. I want you to enter in 1 foot 6. When you enter in the text box, you have to hit enter on the keyboard to accept that dimension and to have the object offset at that dimension. So I want everybody to press enter. All right, now the line is offset by 1 foot 6. Now we're going to continue. We're still in the same command. See how this is much easier? We don't have to end the command and start it just so we can get another dimension. I'm going to select this line, and I'm going to move my mouse anywhere above, and then I'm going to pick a point anywhere above. And when I say pick, I mean a left mouse click, because I'm accepting that 3 foot default dimension, as I call it. All right, now I've added that line. All right, I'm going to continue by selecting that line that I've just created. I'm going to move my mouse above it. Now this dimension coming up is not 3 feet. This dimension coming up is 12 foot 6. And so I've entered that right there, waiting for me in the text box. It's waiting for me to enter in any new dimension, and I did, 12 foot 6. And if I enter in something into the box, I press enter on the keyboard. Now you can see I've offset it, that dimension. Now I'm going to take that line, and pretty soon you'll get into a rhythm now, all right? You know, as you understand the little idiosyncrasies of this command, when to press enter and when to press the mouse button, you'll get into a little bit of a rhythm. We're going to try to get into a rhythm here. So I'm going to pick this line here, and I'm going to pick anywhere above it, because 3 feet is the distance I do want to offset. So I'm going to pick a point above that line. All right, now I'm going to select that line again. I'm going to move my mouse above it. This dimension is not 3 feet. This dimension is 7 foot 1. I'm going to hit enter, and now I'm going to select that line that I just created. This one is 3 feet, so I'm going to pick or click my left mouse button. And finally, the last line here. I'm going to move my mouse above it, and I'm going to type in 1 foot 6. Anytime I enter in something into the little box, I'm going to press enter onto the keyboard. And there you have it. I'm going to end the command. All right, I'm going to do it again. I've been watching some people, they're not doing so well. I'm going to do it again. So if you want to start over with me, do this. Select one of your lines again and copy it over to the side here. This time I'm going to get into a little bit of a rhythm. All right, so if you're ready to go with me, we're going to do it again. Start the offset command. It's a little bit of a rhythm here. And you know what I like to do? Hold on just a second. I've got something I want to do with you. Hold on. All right. I'm going to make, like I use when I teach in person, I have a little whiteboard. All right. All right. I'm going to actually copy this and paste it into the chat so you can also refer to it there. But I'll refer back to this. This is the trick to this, just knowing when. And I've noticed, that's what I was looking at everybody's screen, I've noticed some people are getting mixed up between the two. All right, so I'm going to copy this to the clipboard. All right, so if you need to, and I'll bring this back up if I need to, but here it is, my little whiteboard, and I've also entered it into the chat. All right, so here we go. And like I said, this time I'm going to try to get into a little bit of a rhythm. So I don't want it to just be so start and stop. People get confused with that also. All right, we're going to start the offset command. Usually for my quote unquote default dimension, I try to select something that I'm going to use quite often, something that repeats a little bit more than any of the other dimensions. In this case, 3 feet for the openings along this wall repeats more often than any other dimension, so I'll select that as my default dimension. I'll type that in, 3 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. Now I've got my line down here that I want to offset, so I'm going to select it or pick on it with my left mouse click, and I'm going to move my mouse anywhere above it. 3 feet is not the dimension that needs to be plugged in here. It needs to be 1'6", so I'm going to enter that in, 1'6", and I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. Then I'm going to continue with that line. I'm going to select this line, and I'm going to, that is the dimension I want to offset. So all I need to do is pick with my left mouse click. The next line I'm going to offset, I'm going to select the resulting line here. I'm going to move my mouse above it. 3 feet is not where I need to go. I need to go 12', foot 6. So I'm going to just plug that in. Anytime I enter in something in the box, I'm going to press enter on the keyboard. Next, I'm going to select this line here, and I'm going to move my mouse above it. Now this time, 3 feet is the dimension I would like to use, so I don't need to do anything other than click with my left mouse button. And then I'm going to select that resulting line. 3 feet is not the dimension I need. It is going to be 7 foot 1. So whenever I enter in something into the keyboard, into the text box, I'm going to hit enter on the keyboard. Next, I have another 3 foot opening. 3 foot just happens to be my default distance, so I don't need to do anything other than pick with my left mouse button. And finally, my last dimension here is 1 foot 6. I'm going to type in that distance, 1 foot 6, and I'm going to hit enter because whenever I enter in a dimension, I press enter on my keyboard. I am done. I'll hit enter to exit out of the command. All right. I'm looking. Looks like people are getting it now. Very good. Good, good, good. So remember, you're going to enter in a default distance. That's just a word that I use. Okay, they don't really call it that. And I just refer to that as maybe one of the distances in a string of dimensions that repeats more often. You know why? And the reason I did that is because if I used 7 foot 1 as my default distance, then I would have to type in 1 foot 6. I would have to type in 3 feet. I would have to type in 12 foot 6. I would have to type in 3 feet. The only one that I don't have to type in is 7 foot 1. I could just pick that one. That's the convenience of it. That's why I select one that's a little bit more than the other ones. All right. So with the default distance, all you need to do is left click, or as I call it, pick with your mouse button. Pick a point off the screen. Pick. Any other dimension other than the default dimension, any dimension that you enter into the little text box, you're going to press enter. So remember, like I said, the mnemonic, enter into the text box, enter on your keyboard. I don't have a mnemonic for a default distance, left click or pick. You'll just have to remember that. All right, I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to go ahead and apply this to our bedroom floor plan here. All right. I'm going to close this. I want to start with a nice fresh one. All right. So here's a nice fresh outline. All right, let's get this set up. Let's get going here. You can close whatever file you happen to be in for the practice, and I want you to open up your residential drawing. All right, once you're in your residential drawing, I want you to erase everything that's in this drawing. Any practice things, anything that you've done, you can erase anything that's in that drawing.
Alan,
Yes.
this is Richard. I got a question. Can you look at my screen? Why do I have a blue circle around my...
Let's see. Wait, who is this again?
This is Richard. It just
I'm
appeared.
looking at your screen. I don't see anything.
I have a blue circle around mine
I see a blue
too.
circle.
You see a blue circle right now.
That's the target, yep. I do.
I have one too.
On my screen.
Huh.
I can deal with it.
I don't quite know what that would be.
I have one too. Or had one.
Who said that?
Yeah, I had one too, but
I can live with it.
But you've never seen it before.
No, it just popped up just when I changed to.
Oh, you mean like a blue circle, like like when you're waiting, or like it's lagging or streaming or whatever? You mean like that?
Exactly. It's right over the center. Yep.
All right. That might, I don't know. It might have something to do with the I don't know. It sounds like the computer is doing something or struggling.
like a
And
buffering
that's
issue.
not an AutoCAD thing. That's not an AutoCAD thing.
Okay.
All right. Here's what I'd like everybody to do. To avoid confusion, so everybody's in their residential drawing. To avoid confusion or distractions, I would like us to turn off this UCS icon. All right? I just don't want it there distracting everybody. Remember, if you go to your View tab, it's this very first button in the ribbon. Go ahead and click on it. Make sure it's not blue. All right. Now, one of the things I like to do is, you don't have to do this. I think it'll be easier for you to see on my screen if I lighten up the wall there. I want everybody to set the A wall layer as their current layer, if it's not set that way already. And I'm going to lighten this color up a little bit so you can see it a little bit easier on my screen. All right, taking a look at our markup here. The overall dimension of this rectangular bedroom space is, as we know, 16 foot 6 by 31 foot 7. This is a rectangle. We have a tool that will create rectangles. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to create a rectangle with the dimensions of 16 foot 6 by 31 foot 7. And I want this lower corner of the rectangle here, this one down here, I want this lower corner here to start at 0, 0. Therefore, this corner up here is going to be an absolute coordinate of 16 foot 6 in the X and 31 foot 7 in the Y. All right? So here's what I want everybody to do. Start the rectangle command. When it asks you to specify the first corner point, you're going to enter in the absolute coordinate of 0, 0, and then hit enter. Now, you'll see the beginning of your rectangle. Look at your dynamic input. Again, it's waiting for you to enter in dimensions. The top dimension there, in the top text box, is going to be 16 foot 6. Now, before you get ahead of yourself, I'll tell you right now, you're going to enter in 16 foot 6 in this box, but you are not going to use the comma. Okay? You're entering in these dimensions. To get to the other text box, you're going to press tab. All right, so I'm going to do it all in one thing here. 16 foot 6, and then I'm going to press tab to get to the other box. Now, 16 foot 6 is locked in, and I'm going to enter in 31 foot 7 for the length of the height, or whatever you want to call it, for the other side of the thing. Now you can hit enter. All right. So basically, we have now created a rectangle based on the overall dimensions of our bedroom floor plan. 31 foot 7 by 16 foot 6. All right. Now, our bedroom plan has walls. These are walls, and all the walls in this plan have a thickness. It is not mentioned here in these dimensions, but it is a note here in this overall plan. And in this overall plan here, it says all walls are 3.5 inches thick. So any wall that you see in this plan is going to be 3.5 inches thick. We're going to use the offset command, and we're going to offset this rectangle in on itself so that we can define this thickness of this exterior, let's call it the exterior wall of the bedroom. So what I want everybody to do is I want you to start your offset command. For the distance, I need you to specify 3.5, 3.5 inches, not feet. It's a period. 3.5. That's 3.5 units, 3.5 inches. All right, go ahead and hit enter. And I want you to select your rectangle. And then you're going to pick any point inside there. So we're offsetting the rectangle in on itself to define the exterior walls. All right, once you've done that, you have now two rectangles, one with the overall dimensions that we originally added, and one that is offset 3.5 inches in to represent the exterior walls. All right, and you can hit enter to exit out of the command. I'm just checking everybody.
I did something wrong. What did I do wrong?
Who's that?
Richard again.
By the way, before I get to you, Richard, James Zek, your layer property is needs to be continuous. So one of the things you didn't do, roof was dashed, but you forgot to change roof wall back to continuous. So stretch that out a little bit. You got it. You're trying to stretch it out. Stretch it out so that you can see the line type property. I know it's a little tricky there. There, right there. You see where it's a double arrow.
Yeah.
There, now try it. There you go. Very good. All right. All right. Now, I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm looking at your layers. Highlight A glazing. Actually, can you stretch it down a little bit? All right, good. All right, highlight A glazing, hold down your control key and select P floor fixture. Hold down your control, is it control or hold down your shift key? I want you to select all of these. That's it, that's perfect. Now, click anywhere where it says line type. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, set all of those to continuous. All right, now, select A millwork above and hold down your control key and select A roof. All right, and click on the continuous line type again for one of those. And select -2. And go ahead and hit OK. All right, now you can close out of your layer property manager. And now your lines are nice and solid, continuous. All right, let me move down the line here. All right, was it Patrick? I forget.
Richard, no,
I just noticed something with Patrick. You offset your lines to the outside. I don't want the. Let me just take over for a second here.
oh, I didn't even realize that.
Hold on. Let me just make
I picked
sure.
the wrong line.
Let's see here. Yeah. So these are the overall dimensions we need. I needed you to offset that rectangle inside. You need to pick a point inside there. Then you see this is the overall dimension, and the walls, they need to go. See now you've got walls on the outside.
Okay? Yeah, that makes sense. I just clicked on the line though.
What's that? What's that?
No, that makes sense. I just clicked on the line though.
Okay. But you need to pick a point inside. So I need you to delete that outside rectangle.
Yeah. So can I undo it?
No, just select the outside rectangle and erase it.
By hitting this?
Yes. And now start the offset command again. And pick on, except 3.5 inches. That's the one you want. So just hit enter. And now select that line, the polyline. All right, now move your mouse inside. That's it. Now, before you click, well, that's fine. Did you notice how it shows a preview of what's going to happen? So you can judge what's going to happen before you click.
I see. So what I did wrong is I clicked outside.
You clicked on the outside.
Got it. Understood.
All right, who was I forgot who I was trying to help here.
Richard.
All right, well, let me see, Richard. Looks like you got the, I'm going to take control here. Let me check. Perfect, that's exactly what you need. So you just didn't do the next step. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right, I'm going to stop controlling. All right, just like what I did, I forgot who it was already. Patrick, you're going to hit the offset command. Okay. The distance you want to offset is 3.5 units, 3.5 inches. So type in 3.5.
Enter. Correct?
Anytime you enter something into that box, what are you going to do?
Enter.
That's right.
again. What's happening? Got locked up?
Yeah, let me see if I can. All right, I did it. Now you do it. Let me.
Did that time. Click inside.
What does it say?
Select object to offset 4.
So what do you think you're going to do now?
Click on the inside or the box.
There you go. That's an object. Now pick a point inside the rectangle to offset to that side. All right, you're done. Go ahead and hit enter.
Thank you.
You've got it. All right, now we're ready to go. Now, here's the thing. I've got the initial geometry that I can use now to form all of this other geometry, all these other walls, all these other openings. All right? So one of the things that I like to start with, and this is my little preamble, my little speech here, my little disclaimer. We are going to set out to create the walls of this floor plan. The way that I am going to go about this is a way to do it. It is not the way to do it. What I mean by that is everybody has their own sort of strategy about how they might go about solving a problem like this. All right, so just because I sort of go in one direction, I go with these certain steps in this certain order, does not mean that is the only way to do it. Now, I've been doing this floor plan for 20 years now. And there have been many different times across those 20 years during my teaching that either through the course of finding something more efficient or through boredom to try something new, I have changed the different strategy and ways in which I have tackled creating and teaching how to create this element. So, just because I decide to do one step before another or decide to draw one element before another, doesn't mean that that is the proper way to do it or the exact way to do it. So when you have something that you need to do, you kind of rely on your experience, you rely on what the problem is itself, and then you define or come up with a strategy on how to tackle it. So that's my little speech here. With that being said, one of the things I like to start with is I like to locate this 3-foot opening here and this 3-foot opening here first. So what that's going to entail is I am going to offset this line here by these dimensions until I find those openings. What's nice about this is that we have the same exact openings down here at the bottom. So I just have to do this once to find all of these dimensions. All right, now that you know where I'm going with this, here's a problem. I want those lines to intersect here. If I don't do this, just watch. If I offset, let's say I start with the offset of 1'6", and I try to locate where that next line is, and I offset this, look at this. I'm not getting what I need here. What I need to find are these little lines right here. That's what I'm trying to locate. These little lines, eventually, these are going to be little lines. I call them end caps. All right? And I'm going to be locating them both for this, let's call it the south wall and the north wall. And so they need to intersect my walls, right? But with my rectangle still a polyline, they don't intersect. Everything offset in on itself. All right, this was a long-winded way to get around to tell you that what we're going to do now is we're going to explode these rectangle polylines. We're going to explode them so we can use their individual line components to offset and locate those openings along the north and south wall. All right, so with all that explanation, here's what I want you to do. I want you to select these two polylines, and then you're going to use the explode command. All right.
I'm sorry, were we still in the offset, or we're getting rid of that one?
Yes. And the command offset. Then I want you to select the two rectangles and use your explode command here.
How do you select again?
Okay, you know, I'm sorry about that you weren't able to attend yesterday, but I don't know that I can do the whole class again for you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else to do here. You might have to just kind of watch.
Quick.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that you had to miss it. Maybe what you can do is, I have plenty of these classes coming up for the Architect of the Capitol. Maybe you can get in on another class if you had to miss some of it.
All right.
I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what else to do.
No, I thought that was just a quick way to select.
Well, I mean, it is. You can follow exactly what I'm showing on the screen. I know it's hard to look at your screen and my screen.
Yeah,
But
small.
but here's an easy way to select them. I'm gonna continue with you. I'm gonna continue with you here. I'm gonna deselect everything. To select something, just like you selected the lines in the offset command, you can simply select by just clicking on the object. Just click on the object. See how they're selected? Now, what I showed yesterday were some other techniques where you can use windows and crossing and everything like that. But it's just simple. One of the basic tasks in AutoCAD is to select an object. So all you have to do is hover over it and pick on it. Once those two rectangles are selected, there's a command in here that will turn them from these overall polyline elements into separate line segments. And that's called the explode command, something that we also covered yesterday.
Okay.
So all you have to do is just go ahead and click on explode.
Got it.
And now, look at this. When you go and you hover over the object, they're separate elements now.
Got it.
All right. Now, here's what we're going to do here. We're going to, now that they're separate elements, I'm going to start on the left-hand side, and I'm going to start to offset by those dimensions that you see here. Now, one or two of the dimensions repeat themselves. We have a 3-foot or a 1'6" dimension. All right, I'm going to use the 3-foot dimension as my quote-unquote default dimension, even though 1'6" is also repeated as many times. Doesn't matter. All right, so I want you to start the offset command. It asks for a offset distance. Once again, I'm going to put in 3 feet and hit enter. Now, I am going to select the furthest most west line, the furthest most line to the left as the object I want to offset, not the inside line, because that's where the dimensions are referring to. They're referring to this outside line. All right, so I want you to pick, where'd it go? There we go. I want you to pick this line all the way to the left. Move your mouse anywhere to the right. Move your cursor anywhere to the right of that line. Now I'm exaggerating how far away I'm from away from that object. But like I said, I want my students to, sometimes I don't know why, but they want to pick like a point, like right next to the object, and then your endpoint snaps might screw things up. So I want you to get a nice comfortable distance away from the object. Now, 3 feet is not the dimension that we need to plug in here. The dimension we need to plug in here is 1'6". So we're going to type in 1'6", and we're going to hit enter on our keyboard. Remember, enter in the text box, enter on your keyboard. All right, there's our initial line for the first portion of the opening of the window. Next, you're going to continue with this. You're going to select this line now. And you're going to move your mouse, your cursor anywhere to the right again. Now, this time, 3 feet is the dimension I want to use. So, I am going to click my left mouse button. All right. Now, the next dimension is 7'6". So, I'm going to select this line here. Now, apparently, when I just closed out of there, when I went to show my PDF, it ended my command. So I'm going to have to start the offset command here. All right, so the next one here, this is going to be 7'6". So you're going to type in 7'6" and hit enter. Then you're going to offset this line here 3 feet. So you can pick anywhere to the right of that line because 3 feet is your default distance. Now you do not need to do 1'6" on the end here. We've already got it. It's inferred. We've already got this line over to the side here. All right, it looks like I'm going to have to do this again for some people. All right, I'm going to do it again. All right, actually, well, Richard and James, James, you've almost got it. You just have to offset that line 7'6". But here, I'll do it again for everybody. And a little bit more fluid. Offset. 3 feet is my default distance. I'll select the furthest left line, move my mouse towards the right, and type in the initial distance of 1'6", and hit enter. Next, I'll select that line 3 feet is the distance I want to use, so I'm just going to pick with my left mouse button. Next is 7'6". So I'm going to type in 7'6", and then I'm going to hit enter. And then finally, I'm going to select that resulting line there, and then 3 feet is the distance I want. So all I have to do is pick with my left mouse button. All right. Now, to avoid any confusion here, I want to get rid of the lines that go through the middle of my floor plan. I want to trim those lines. All right? All that I want to remain are the little lines here. Okay? So I want to get rid of the lines that go completely through my floor plan. So this is a perfect candidate for using your trim command. Now, right before I get to this, I know a lot of you might have the inclination or desire to trim everything that you see on the screen at this moment. I would ask you to hold off on that urge, meaning I don't want you to trim out the openings of where the windows are. And the reason for that is I find it easier to work with the geometry if it's not yet trimmed. But the excess confusing elements, I like to get rid of those. So let me demonstrate first, and then you can figure out what I mean by it. All right, here I go. This is what I mean. I want to trim the lines here, but leave behind little lines here on the north wall and little lines here on the south wall. Little short 3.5-inch lines. So I'm going to use my trim command, and with my everything being a cutting edge, I'm just going to click on the little interior portions of the line, and this is the result I want. I want these little lines on the north wall and these little lines on the south wall. This is what I was also talking about. I don't want you to trim the openings just yet. So I don't want you to have something like this just yet. And the reason for it, don't do this just yet. Because we're going to be trying to locate other walls, and it's easier to work with the geometry if it's not all broken up like this. All right, so I'm going to undo what I just did all the way back to where I do have lines. Another thing I want you guys to be aware of, and this is what I pointed out during talking about trim, is that this is a situation where I do want all of the trimming edges on the screen because I want to leave behind little 3.5-inch lines here and little 3.5-inch lines here. Here's what I mean. If I trim and I've got all of those cutting edges on screen, on stage, as if you remember what I was saying, then those cutting edges will leave behind my little lines on the south wall and my little lines on the north wall. But if I was zoomed in like this, look what happens here. If I'm zoomed in, my south wall is not on the screen. It's off stage. If I go to trim, and expect to see the little lines on the south wall, because the south wall trimming edges were not there. Look at that. I don't have those lines. All right, so these are these little subtleties of of using the trim and extend commands. All right, so once again, one last time, here's what I want to make sure everybody does. When you go to trim these lines, make sure both lines are on the screen, and then you can trim the excess in the middle. All right, this is a good stopping point for us at 10:30, where we usually take our break. So go ahead and save your progress. Go ahead and save your drawing. And what we'll do is we're going to take our mid-morning break. And when we come back, we're going to try to finish the rest of this floor plan. All right, I'll see you in 15.